Hello, my name is Love Kher, and I'm sitting here with Mr. KJ Sharma today. And today we are going to be talking about mind versus intellect. The reason we have chosen that topic is because there is quite a bit of confusion among people. They cannot distinguish what mind is or what intellect is. So, hopefully, this topic will be very interesting for our audience. So, Mr. Sharma, today we are talking about mind versus intellect, very important topic. And my first question to you is how will you define in your way what is mind and what is intellect? What are the differences between them?
Yeah, thank you for asking this kind of a question. Okay, good. See, first of all, I will give the reference of Bhagavad Gita because in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna has very well explained about it. You see, mind and intellect. People get confused. They think that mind and intellect, something is the same thing, but it is not. In fact, as per Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, he says that mind is separate from the body and intellect is separate from mind, and even the soul, the Atma, is separate from the intellect, which is called Sarir, Man, Buddhi, and Atma. So, in the first distinction we find this way. Now we have to understand as how we can understand the function of the mind and how we understand the function of the intellect. The mind in almost all the living beings, we will find the mind is there. And mind functions in, in very well defined 6 ways. In Hindi, we call it Kam, Krodh, Mad, Lobh, Moh, and Matsarya. These are the ways that normally the mind functions. Because this mind is the seat of power of delusion, which is called Maya. I have already, and we have already talked, and I have already explained about it, that, the Brahman, God, he himself expressed in the form of entire manifestation what we see as nature. So so after expressing himself and presenting in the form of the entire universe, the nature, he has hidden himself by the power of delusion, the Maya. So because of the Maya, the mind cannot understand things clearly. And that is why the mind is the seat of power of delusion, Maya, because of which the mind is not in a position to decipher and understand or analyze whatever the manifestations are there in the form of nature, as sun, as star, as space, whatever we see.
So, in other words, mind cannot make any decision because of so much distraction due to the 6 ways you.
No, 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 no. Mind, in fact, mind is the driving force for every action.
Right.
Because,
But mind does not make a decision.
no, mind only makes a decision.
Hmm.
Mind is the main driving force because body is a neutral. Body is a instrument.
Hmm.
It is absolutely neutral. Whatever the command is given by the mind, directed through desire, greed, anger, attachment, jealousy. These are the different characteristics that the mind functions through. So, mind is the main driving force. But mind is under the influence of Maya, because of which it will always try to act through these 5, 6 ways. It will function.
Right.
Now, because of that, the all other creatures, all other animals, they have got the mind. But it's only the human being who are given additional capacity that is called intellect buddhi. The function of buddhi, now to understand buddhi, we have to understand that this is the buddhi, which is the intelligence. This has the capacity to
Discriminate.
analyze. Analyze. Because of the capacity to analyze, every action has how the action should be performed and what would be the result of the action. So, this capacity is with intelligence.
Right. So, in other words, mind, because of the intellect, is able to discriminate this is right, this is wrong, and accordingly instructs the mind to take the proper action.
Yeah. So, now let me further elaborate. Now, it depends upon the intellect, how the intellect is, at what level, how much it is evolved. Because intellect is the seat of real knowledge. And the real knowledge means how much of material knowledge or how much of spiritual knowledge one has acquired. Depending upon that, the intelligence, the buddhi will have the capacity to more and more analyze things better, for better. And then only the intellect can try to control the mind. Though if intellect does not have the knowledge, the mind, that intellect, that buddhi will not be in a position to control the mind or direct the mind. So the intellect, the buddhi is superior than the mind.
Right.
So this is the difference between the mind and the intellect.
Yeah. So now, another word which also gets used quite a lot, and that is the ahankara or ego. So, where does ego fall between mind and the intellect?
Yes. What happens now, as I, in the beginning, as I said, first thing is the body, which is neutral. It is the instrument. Unless the energy or the direction which comes from mind, which directs the body to act, body cannot do anything. So mind becomes the directing force. And to give the mind the right direction or the wrong direction depends upon the intellect. Because intellect is the seat of knowledge. And apart from the intellect also, there is another entity which really we are, the Atma, the soul. Though there is I would say that actually soul and Atma are not the same. In my conviction, as per I understand from our Vedanta, Atma is universal, omnipresent. It doesn't, when some entity which is omnipresent does not have to live somewhere and go somewhere. But the soul leaves the body and acquires another body.
So, that is why it cannot be contained inside a physical box.
Yes, because it is omnipresent, it is everywhere.
Right.
So, actually, the soul is the soul, you can say, Jivatma. So, actually, soul is the Jiva. That Jiva identifies itself with the mind and intellect and the body, mind and intellect. When the soul identifies with that, then this concept of ahankar, I, crops up.
So, the ahankar is, I can say, that is associated with jivatma, has nothing to do per se with the mind or intellect.
Well, because of the mind and intellect, because that is the medium through which the jiva expresses itself. because it is identifying itself with the body, mind, and intellect. So that is how it it feels and says I. But this is not the real I. I- The one who is knowing the body, mind, and intellect is a separate entity, that is the Atma, and that is what is the real I, the self. The Atma is the self, the real I. But on that, because of the ignorance, because of the power of delusion, the Maya, the combination of body, mind, and intellect, they identify themselves as I. That is not the real I.
Got it. Got it.
But that is the soul, that is the Jivatma, which when it lifts the body, when the body is discardable, when the body is not of use, then that Jiva lifts the body and acquires another body.
So the problem is actually about self recognition. And now I want to move on to a slightly different topic, but it's in the same theme that we had.
Yeah.
And the reason for this question is these days you must have heard over the last 5 years or recently, maybe 10 years, that this whole concept of mindfulness, yoga, mindfulness, this or that has come up. Can you explain what mindfulness is and how is it related or not related to our Vedantic knowledge that we had, or is it something totally different?
Yeah. I remember in Preston Church, there had been debate on this, and I was present there, and they were talking about mindfulness. That was my first encounter where I had to explain. So, in order to understand what mindfulness is, one has to understand the mind. The people who are talking about mindfulness, actually, they are not understanding the limit of the mind. If we understand clearly the mind and its function, then only we can really understand what mindfulness could be. Normally, in general, people are thinking about mindfulness that one should be, whatever we are doing, we should be with the mindful, means the whole mind should be concentrated to do in the best possible way.
So, aware of what you are doing, aware.
Yeah. So, no, whatever you are doing, you must do with your whole attention of your mind. With the whole attention of your mind should be fully attentive with all whatever whatever the knowledge is there, with all that capacity, you try to do that, then that kind of a situation or the attitude will be called mindfulness.
But isn't that we do when we meditate, that we meditate on either an object or a mantra? So it's about having that kind of a laser focus on something or not focus on anything, emptiness, right? So is mindfulness that or something different? No, I'm still not clear.
People are getting confused. Meditation, if in case of a meditation, you are concentrating on any object, that is not meditation. That is concentration. You are concentrating on one object, one thought, or one mantra, or something on one. That is not really meditation is. That is simply concentration. That you can say, you dhyana yoga, you putting your attention to something and try to concentrate and keep your mind concentrating in one direction on one object or one thought or a one mantra.
Mhm.
That is not real meditation.
So mindfulness is not that.
No.
Okay.
So actually meditation is transcending the mind is meditation.
Yes.
When we transcend the mind, that is the stage of meditation. So the purpose of meditation is to transcend the mind, because the mind has got such a capacity that lot of thoughts are arising and subsiding in it. Mind is never at rest. Even during the sleep, we keep dreaming. Means so many activities the mind is indulging throughout the day, 24 hours. So lot of thoughts keep arising. So any object on anything, if you try to concentrate, it is nothing but the product of the mind.
Right. So,
So until we transcend the mind, means when we stop arising any thought in the mind, that is the state, is the real meditation. Is.
so now the next question that comes to my mind, my mind, is that how can I control my mind? Because mind always wanders around in 100 different directions.
Yes.
Be that when you are trying to meditate or trying to play music or trying to do something, there are different thoughts are going on in mind.
Yes.
How can the mind be controlled?
Yes. So for that only, compared to any other animals or any other living beings, it's the only human being who are blessed, who are given the another capacity called Buddhi, the intellect, intelligence. The people may say that intelligence are among the other animals also. Actually, that is not real intelligence. That is only the function of the mind. So through the intelligence, it's only the human being who knows in which direction the mind is going.
Mhm.
Because if you if you think of controlling the mind, it means the controller has to be a separate entity, isn't it? Mind itself cannot control.
Otherwise, it will not wander,
Yes.
right?
If you're riding a horse,
Yeah.
then you have to control. Horse is not going to control itself.
Yes.
The one who is riding the horse will control the horse. So, in order to control the mind, there has to be a separate entity, that is the intellect, that is the buddhi.
Right.
So, buddhi has got the capacity to know in which direction the mind is going. And even the greater capacity, which is the self, the Atman, who is the real knower. Rest, everything is known. The body is known, the mind is known, the intellect is known, the soul is known. So the real knower is none of them.
Yes.
These are all objects.
Yeah. Yeah. They are known.
The only subject is the self, that is the Atman, who is the knower. And that is the real I. That is why we all individuals, when we talk, we all say I. This I is common among everyone. This common I is the real I, which who is Atma.
All right. So I'm going to summarize very briefly. So basically, today we heard what is mind, what is intellect, and what are the differences. The key message that we heard towards the end, that in order for us to control our mind, which wanders around here and there, intellect plays a very important role. And in order to enhance the intellect, one has to have the metaphysical knowledge or the scriptural knowledge that is going to enhance the intellect and the overall quality of life. So, with that, I'm going to say thank you to everyone. Thank you, Mr. Sharma.
Right.
And thank you to our friend Nick, who has been helping us here. So, with that, we will finish this session and meet with you next week on a different topic.